All right, everyone, welcome back to the rabbit hole. My name is Yasif,
My name's Atanch.
and what topic are we delving into today?
I mean, they can read the title, but I guess if you want me to spell it out for you, we're going to be
If
talking. What was
it's
that?
too much effort for you,
Yeah. We're going to be talking about space exploration and specifically if it's worth it, because we know it costs a lot. So, do the pros outweigh the benefits? And yeah, that's what we'll be talking about today.
Yeah, and just looking into the various costs and maybe some technological developments that have been created, some research developments, and just giving our overall opinions on if we think the benefits are worth it in the end.
So, let's jump right into it. Before we even start about all of this, I wanted to ask you, and I guess the viewers too, a question. What percent of the American budget do you think actually goes to NASA?
What percent?
Yes.
Uh, just 5 or 10%.
Oh yeah, wait. Even before I ask it, do you know what the United States plans like budget is for the fiscal year? Okay. Let me tell you what it is.
Hold
It's
on, let
four
me
point
pull up
seven
my
trillion.
documents on the United States fiscal plans. It was just emailed to me yesterday.
Fuck you. It's 4.7 trillion. Okay,
Okay. Yes,
and
pocket change.
pocket. Yeah, chump change.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
of that, how much do you think NASA gets? There's a common misconception that NASA gets like a massive chunk of it. Actually, a survey was done where 25% of Americans think that NASA gets 20% of their budget, where in fact they only get 0.5% of their budget.
0.5.
Yeah, they only
Damn.
get 22.6 billion, which is approximately
22.6. Okay.
0.5.
Okay.
Um, and take that in. It's such a tiny amount, and this is also why a quarter of Americans think that NASA is overfunded. It's because they think that they have so much money when they actually really don't. And the interesting thing is that the amount that they do with that money is extraordinary. Like this, just the sheer number of projects they're able to run, the tens and thousands of scientists that work there, the projects that they come up with, everything that they can do in, I don't want to say a measly 2.6 billion, but relative to the sum, like a measly 2.6
Only
billion. A
2.6.
small loan
Oh,
of.
oh, a small loan of a $2.6 billion, of course.
But yeah,
I
and
mean,
like, okay, let me ask you this: what percent
okay.
of that cut do you think the military gets?
I was just about to say that. Isn't it like, isn't that actually about like 20 or 30%?
Yeah, it's around
Yeah.
16, 20%.
Yeah, that's always the argument whenever someone says that NASA makes too much money or has too much of the government funding, and then someone counteracts that with always saying, well, the military earns way more than that.
Yeah. Okay, honestly, side note, I don't even know why the military needs that much money,
I
but it's a hot take.
Cool tanks, man, cool tanks.
Nice planes, plane go fast,
Exactly.
machine gun go burr.
Machine gun gunner.
So without further ado, okay, I wanted to start off the segment with probably like something like that's super interesting to me, and it's the fact the way that NASA creates these novel technologies that are obviously they're the majority of the technology that they make is for space exploration. But I would say they have
What?
entire departments that are
Wait, wait, wait,
completely
wait, wait. Hold
dedicated.
up. Hold up. Hold up. Backtrack a bit. You're saying that NASA
I hate you.
primarily makes technology for
I hate you.
space
I hate you.
exploration?
I actually hate you. You actually
I've
made me
been
stop
lied.
mid sentence to say you're a piece. I hate you.
I've been lied to my whole life. I
Scum.
would have never thought. You just shed
Moving
light.
on. Moving on. They have entire sections that are completely dedicated to actually improving life on Earth. So I thought it'd be super interesting to sort of go over some of these technologies that have either indirectly or directly influenced different areas of our day to day lives. And
Do one of these technologies include a personal handheld rocket that you can use to fly to space at any time?
you're not funny. You're not
Well,
funny.
I'm not interested then.
I don't want to talk to
Good thing we have a podcast together.
you. Nice. Um, Okay, so okay, here. Okay, I'm
Okay.
gonna throw a bunch of like technologies at you, and then you tell me if it's a
Using
NASA invention or like a NASA contribution, or
using my vast intellect, I will determine this. Do not
yes,
worry.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, well we're gonna start go basic that
Okay.
you probably make sense. Okay,
Yes.
scratch resistant lenses.
Hmm. It's hard to tell, man. I definitely did not come across this one in my research. It's
Okay, no cheating,
hmm.
no cheating, no cheating. Are
Uh,
you reading? You're reading.
no,
You're
I'm
reading the
not. I just
doc.
this is of the two of the list that I created of like the 20. This is one of two that I actually read
Okay,
hypothetically
so
if that
yes,
list
the
existed.
answer is yes. It
No.
was meant to be easy. Okay,
Damn, I
this
got it
one
wrong.
not intuitive.
Okay.
Shock absorbers for buildings.
Okay, I'm gonna go on a limb and I'm gonna say yes.
Yep, wireless headsets.
What'd you
Dude,
say?
wireless headsets.
I created those.
You're not gonna take this game seriously, are you?
I
Yes,
don't know what you're
NASA.
talking about.
Smoke detectors.
Um, NASA?
Yes. Invisible braces.
NASA?
Yep. Camera phones.
This definitely was not the second one that I read. Also NASA.
CAT scans.
I'm detecting a pattern here. NASA?
Baby formula.
The US government.
Workout machines.
Wait, the US government invented baby formula?
They improved upon the already existing one, and now 90% of all baby formulas have this formula. It's a much more potent version.
Wait, so you're saying that the US government is controlling babies through baby formula?
Huh. Why am I here?
That was... Continue.
Okay, I'm just gonna read through the rest.
Okay.
Baby formula,
Why? I
life
was taking this
shears,
very seriously.
groove pavements, air purifiers, memory foam, workout
Hmm.
machines, home insulation, insulin pumps, infrared ear thermometers, ice resistant airplanes, portable computers, LEDs, and these are like not like yeah, obviously light emitting diodes like the normal LEDs, but specifically what the military did with these LEDs is they made like a super high energy version which like soldiers can use to ease pain and like heal minor wounds or something. And also it's for people that had like bone marrow transplant. It reduces bone pain, which was really cool.
The LEDs reduce bone pain?
Yeah, I don't understand it. It's supposed to relieve pain in
So if I
cancer
break a bone,
patients
if I
and
shine a
Parkinson's.
flashlight on it, I'll be okay?
A flashlight isn't an LED.
If it was an LED flashlight.
It has to be very high energy. So a
If
very
I
big,
put
strong LED light.
strong LED, I see. So we've discovered
Science, science.
Yes.
Shine
Science, of
light on
course.
thing get healed.
And it good. Bone good.
Ooh, this one's really cool. 3D food printing.
How does
I
that
didn't
work?
even know that was a thing.
How is that a thing?
Basically, you 3D print the food.
So they can mass produce hot pockets.
Well, right now it's being refined for commercial use.
Huh. And when do you think it'll be like actually implemented?
I think it's
Or
2030. 2030.
2030, really?
Yeah.
Wait, so what kind of things would they 3D print? What kind of foods up in
Chocolate.
space?
Right now here it's like food specifically for like people with specific dietary needs. You can mass produce that, and then also like it says mainly here it says chocolate, which makes
Okay.
sense. Well, that's all I got. I didn't really look into it that much because that wasn't the main point of today. My point here that I was trying to make was NASA has been a part of a ton of different inventions that we use on a day-to-day basis. I'm using wireless headphones right now. Probably the most
We get it. You're rich. Right?
yeah
High
totally
class.
yeah. But anyway, so there was one that I really wanted to talk about specifically that sure, these are cool in our day-to-day lives, but NASA has made it so there are inventions that can help the entire human species on a much larger scale. And one example of this is their soil moisture active passive, which is called a SMAP satellite.
Bless you.
I hate you. How many times have I said I hate you already? It's been we've been in a call for 20 minutes.
About the normal amount of times.
So basically, this is a really cool satellite that what it does is it's able to detect soil moisture levels, and what that does is that it basically you can extrapolate crop yield, and then you can tell if there's going to be a drought or not. So if you do this, and it costs around $900 million to make, right?
Oh, of course, yes. I bought one yesterday.
Yeah. I have one in my backyard.
Oh,
Twins. Now, okay, so it costs $900 million, right?
mm-hmm.
Which is a hefty sum of money. Like, that's almost like a 20th of their entire budget. And this was only one section making one project for that 1 year, right?
Yeah.
So how much benefit do you think this had? Like, proportional wise?
What do you mean proportional to what?
To, like, the return on investment.
Well, I mean, if you can detect droughts and determine crop yield, I'd say it was fairly beneficial.
Yeah, it was almost... And first of all, once a satellite goes up, it can be used every year. So the return on investment here is like 10, 20 folds. Okay. So $900 million is enough to feed approximately a little over the population of Africa for a day.
Wow.
Okay.
So it can feed me for a week.
Yes. Yes. They're going to... like, the people who can't see you are going to think you're fat. Based on
Well, I mean, I probably should be at this point.
Yeah, but you're just 300 pounds of pure muscle.
No, like, mine subtract 200. And there you go. But anyway, this satellite thing, I don't know if, knowing you, I know with your vast information, you probably looked into this, but do you know how it works? I'm kind of curious.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so what it does is it has... Okay, so it sends the satellite up in space. There's a gold net mesh that, like, comes out of it. The satellite spins, okay, and it penetrates... So it sends specific rays through the soil to detect specific moisture levels over... I would say, like, a significant range. I think it's probably 10 to 100 kilometer range, I'm assuming. And basically it keeps spinning around itself and as it goes around the planet. So essentially in 4 to 5 days, it can cover the entire planet. And it can do this multiple times in the year.
Yeah.
And in doing so, it can help. And the best part, NASA has this information out to the public for free. So the government of Africa, for example, has been using this to sort of help them predict what crop yields will be like and how to prepare for droughts and things like that. And that has significantly aided the African population, or just in general where crops grow, right? Or major agricultural
like, especially
hubs.
Like things with the like areas with like dry seasons and monsoon seasons or something like that. Like India would probably, I would assume, be fairly helpful, right?
Yeah. And
so sorry.
Yeah.
Another question. Do you know what kind of like how it exactly detects the amount of moisture level? Like what kind of rays it uses? Does it use infrared like for heat or something, or does it use a higher intensity light?
I got no idea, but I can search it up.
Well, it's too late for that. My interest is gone. Your one job and you failed it.
I am one click away.
I would assume it might be like maybe a heat capacity thing or something like that. I don't know. I'm just speaking out of my ass, but you know.
So basically, it says using an advanced radiometer, the satellite peers beneath the clouds, vegetation, and other surface features to monitor water and energy fluxes, helping improve food predictions and drought monitoring. So it says radiometer. No idea.
That doesn't really help.
I don't know what a radiometer is. So regardless, we're not scientists. I mean, I guess we are, but we're not space dudes.
We are not scientists.
I have a published paper. Go fuck yourself.
You sat there with an iPad
co-author.
recording noise.
Huh?
You sat there with an iPad recording noise levels. I
In a surgery. In a
Of course, of
surgery.
course, of course. Anyway, move on, Mr. Scientist.
Um, Regardless, so the bigger thing here is this project came out of a specific uh, section of NASA called the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, right? And the Jet
Mhm.
Propulsion Laboratory has made some insanely cool satellites. This is also the same place that made the Voyager. This is the same place that made the Mars rover. All the cool things that you hear about with NASA are typically associated with this. So now moving away from the research that has aided humanity like on Earth specifically, I wanted to look at things that how NASA has like directly affected us through space exploration. And one of the biggest things that I think is super super cool is the fact that they have this asteroid catching thing.
Well, is
Asteroid,
that the scientific name? Asteroid
yes,
catching thing?
yes, it's called
Yeah.
asteroid catchy thingy.
Of course.
Um, okay, sorry, it's called Asteroid Redirect Robot Mission, or
Okay.
ARRM, and has just ended development. So essentially, what this is, it either redirects that. So one of the projects they're working on is to redirect the asteroid. The second
Mhm.
one they're working on is to use like a rocket head on and it hit the asteroid.
So the solution is to fire a big missile at it and make it go boom boom.
Yep, yep.
It's the
And
best solution.
that, I was like, okay, it sounds a very, what's the word for it? Not innovative, basic,
It's
caveman-ish
the American solution.
to everything.
Nuke 'em.
Bomb it, bomb it.
Bomb it.
Big bomb, small bomb. Um,
Bomb.
but yeah, and honestly, okay, thinking about it, asteroid hitting Earth is pretty uncommon, or like it wouldn't. We don't expect it to happen, but we have to think about the fact that it's already happened once. And if it were to happen, we actually have no contingencies against it. If an asteroid were to enter orbit and we can't stop it, we're all dead.
Hmm.
Mass extinction happens.
Well,
So
I mean, I would assume that they would have to redirect or like destroy it well before it entered orbit.
yeah, exactly. So that's why these things are in place, and I think are like super super interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Otherwise,
so
it would just still spread out, and we all
yeah.
be bye bye.
Um, so yeah, the entire NASA website or the entire JPL website has like a bunch of different projects they're working on, and they're like super easily like you can figure out what they do
Hmm.
very
And like
easily.
this is also the same. The JPL also is the ones that actually created a bunch of the different technologies that we use day to day on Earth, like the LEDs that you had mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They have an entire graphic that just lists all the things that they have made.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that, and also they've made it so natural disaster predictions have gotten much better. Weather forecasting has gotten much better. Imagine just not being able to tell the weather, like looking at your phone, not being able to tell the weather what's gonna.
You don't tell the weather. You don't look at your phone and tell the weather anyway.
I am lazy.
And then
That's
you
a
walk
different
outside
problem.
and you're
That's a
like,
different
Yasa,
problem, not yeah.
why is it snowing? And I would say, Tanch, did you check the weather? And then you would say no. And then I would say that's your problem.
And I would say I
And
agree.
then
And then
billions of NASA research funding is wasted just because you didn't check the weather
yeah, it's all for me, and I am so sorry that I wasted.
and you
there.
wasted.
Yep, I wasted their precious time.
Yeah.
So that brings us to
Well,
just
they're
the
a
sheer
bit
amount of benefit NASA has done for us.
they're a bit more space related discoveries in recent times that I would like to go over a bit. You've had a lot to say.
You have stuff to talk
I
about.
know. I have.
You did
Believe it or
research.
not, believe it or not,
I
I
really
know
don't.
some things. Something I know how to Google.
Go for it. Hit me with your Google.
So of course, there is the photograph of a black hole. Everyone's seen that. That happened, I think, like a couple years back, right? Two
Yeah,
years, maybe,
yeah,
right? Yeah. So like you see it, and that was the first ever actual photograph of a black hole. Like before, there have been simulations and theories into what a black hole would actually look like. Something we'll get into in a later podcast, right, Hitanch?
we will. Yes, yes, we
Yes,
will.
exciting stuff, exciting stuff. But yes, so this was the actual photographic proof of a black hole. Like, of course, it you can't actually take a colored picture of a black hole. Most of the pictures that they take of in space are black and white. They just add color to it. If you didn't
I
know that, Hitesh.
what? Yo, I actually did
Yeah.
not know that.
No, yeah,
What? They've
basically,
been
yeah,
lying
because
to me. Space is black and white.
yeah, well, yeah, there is no color. Human life is a simulation. But no, I mean, like if you look at a picture, like one of those famous pictures of a nebula, like the one with all the pretty colors and clouds and all that.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know the exact name, but that basically they're only able to capture a certain wavelength of the electromagnetic spectrum. I forget exactly what it is. So from that, they can't actually discern color, but basically they would determine the different types of materials that exist within that image, right? So like, I don't know, carbon or something like that. And then they would determine what kind of color those certain materials would emit. And from that, they would then add color to the black and white image based on how much of those specific materials exist. And that's how you get these colored images.
Whoa, I had no idea.
Yeah, so
Wow,
that's
that's
why
actually
they
really
all
cool.
look so vibrant and pretty. Like they probably wouldn't look like that in person, but
Yes,
that
in person, I don't.
yeah,
Yes,
if you
yeah,
look
I will have
outside
the
and you see that
opportunity to
black
see them in
hole,
person. Yes.
yes, of course. It's right there, man. But yeah, that's a bit of a tangent. But yes, so there was a photograph of a black hole, and that's just like, hey, look, these are actually a thing. They exist. So that was a pretty interesting discovery that they did. Um, Another thing, in August 2019, so just last year, they detected the collision between a black hole and a neutron star. So again, these are things that they had just theorized and observed from different movements of planetary bodies and just like, hey, something must have happened here. It was probably a collision, but this was actually the first time they detected something happening.
Wait,
So that was,
I'm confused. What does a neutron star colliding? I'm sorry, I have no background in space stuff. But
what are you doing here, my man?
I'm
You're
sorry.
fired. So basically, like,
I resign.
a neutron star. Again, it's been a while since I did astronomy, so I kind of forget of it. But a neutron star, I'm pretty sure, is like um, a star after, like, at the end of its life, basically. Maybe I'm pretty sure.
Sure, but what does the collision do? Why is that
No,
important?
maybe it's not. I don't know. It's a specific type of star, but basically, it's a supermassive, like, dense thing, and then it collides with another extremely supermassive dead things, which makes Big Boom.
Oh, okay. Makes big boom.
Yeah,
That's what's
makes Big
important.
Boom. Yeah, exactly. Big Boom. Very big boom.
Back to
Again,
American way of life. Big
it's
boom.
been a while, so I don't know exactly what a neutron star is. I could Google it, but I'm too lazy. There was another thing where they recently discovered that the universe was expanding 9% faster than they had originally predicted, but
Hmm.
they don't know why. It could be accounted for by the existence of some dark energy or some undiscovered physics. So that's a pretty interesting thing.
Interesting.
You do know that the universe is expanding, right? Please tell me that.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
that's
I
good.
knew that. Yes,
Of
because it'll get
course.
to a point where we won't be able to. It'll exceed the speed of light, and we won't be able to see past the observable universe or something.
Well, it's already at the point where we technically can't get to the edge of the universe because it's expanding faster than
The
the
speed of
speed of light.
travel.
Yeah.
Oh, the speed of
Well,
light.
I mean, exactly. Well, technically, like the whole thing about mass can't travel at the speed of light, so the planets aren't moving, but the empty space in between the
Yeah, I don't.
planets, antimatter
You're a
is
nerd.
expanding.
You're a nerd. I
Yeah,
don't want that. You're
exactly.
a
So
nerd. I
all
don't
that
want.
fun
Shut
stuff.
up. Shut up. You're a nerd.
Yes.
Nerd.
And then also, like, hey man, and then also, 2019, an atomic clock was launched into space. Do you know what an atomic clock is attached? Do you know what they're used for here on Earth?
Okay, now you're trying to make me feel dumb. You're a nerd. You're a nerd. You know that, right? You're a nerd.
Is it your
Go. What
defense
is it?
mechanism?
What's? Yes, this is my defense mechanism. Go.
Well, they're actually used for GPS.
What? How?
Yeah, so basically, again, it's been a while. I'm I'm big dumb, so I forget exactly how this works. But there's this whole thing with how the atomic clock calculates the actual passing of time, and there's a whole thing with time dilation because things are traveling at different speeds, so they exhibit different times relative to one another. So then, the atomic clock can basically calculate the distance that you're moving based on the difference between the time that it experiences and the time that you experience.
Jesus. Okay.
Yes. So
Okay.
basically, that's a very dumbed down and probably incorrect way of explaining this because I'm big dumb. But basically, launching this atomic clock into space is done with the intention of one day, if we ever are able to travel into space, that can be used as a sort of GPS device in deep space.
That's very interesting, actually.
Exactly. So then they can drive up to the nearest McDonald's on Europa or something like that, because
Nice.
if space travel exists, McDonald's will definitely go intergalactic. But and then also along with that, this is the last thing. I swear to God, this is the last of my nerd talk. But along with the atomic clock that was sent out, they also sent out the first solar sailing spacecraft. Do you know what that is?
Why do you ask when you know the answer? No, I don't. I'm dumb.
Well, that sounds like a you problem. But anyway, so the photons from light, they have a speed to them, right? Which means that they can exert somewhat of a force. The only reason that you don't get slammed into the ground after looking up at the sun and getting light shown on you is because they have extremely small mass. So in space, where there is essentially no air resistance or anything out there, right?
Hmm.
You can essentially have some sort of a very dumbed down way is have a big sail that catches a bunch of light and it uses that to propel itself.
Dude, can I add to this? Because I can relate
You can
somehow.
relate to a big sail
Okay,
catching
see,
light.
yes. So I don't think you've watched Space Force, right?
No, I have not.
Okay, for everyone who has watched Space Force, there is in episode 2, so I guess it's not a spoiler. Okay, there's a point where they actually make a note to what he just said because there's a satellite in space that's gotten detached, like the two arms have been detached, and they need the arms to return back to the body of the satellite. And one of the scientists actually, I just remember, they actually say we could use the sun as like a force to push the panels in. I was like, what? How does that even work? That sounds stupid. And wow, that just makes sense now.
No, yeah, it's just like the only thing is you need
Oh
a
my god.
surface area. Again, because it's such a negligible mass, you need a surface area extremely large and material extremely light so that
So
the
space material,
ratio,
yeah.
exactly, so that the ratio of surface area to mass is ideal enough for the sun to actually be able, the light to be able to push you in a certain direction.
Oh, also, yes, what he said, yes, but also, space. Going back to Space Force because Netflix and that's a good show. In space, boots on the moon is a real thing. Lunar base is actually a thing that's planned to happen in 2030, and it will be a place for it'll be like a middle place for astronauts to sort of rest up a bit or like regain fuel and regain resources so they can continue their space exploration.
There
So
will be
boots on the
McDonald's
moon
there, right?
is a real thing.
So I can
Yes.
you can have chicken nuggies up on the
Chicken
moon.
nuggies. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Up on
Chicken
the moon.
nuggies.
Anyway, so I guess going on to the topic of creating facilities up within the moon and things like that, we can now move on to a somewhat similar topic about creating colonizations within other planets, can't we, Hitesh?
Yes, we can. I guess that's the entire intent behind the entire Mars exploration.
Yes, just SpaceX
Yeah,
mainly.
SpaceX in general, I think, it has
Hmm.
been largely motivated
By Mars
by
colonization.
Mars colonization. Exactly. Um, and I think while there is definitely merit to it, and I think it is really, it's a good contingency. It's equivalent to backing up your data on a computer, like on a hard drive. And I see the merits in it, but inherently it should not be our solution. Like it should not be the solution we're striving towards, in my opinion.
Definitely, like as soon as you start investing a substantial amount of effort into a secondary solution, people will immediately view it as the primary and only solution, right?
Exactly. And think about it this way: the say a catastrophic event happens that let's say isn't natural, so like it isn't an asteroid hitting the Earth, but it's like a man-made thing, like a world war, a virus,
World War virus. Good.
a world war that uses viruses,
I see.
biochemical warfare.
Uh,
Anyways, so say you have something like that. What's to say that doesn't infect? I use the word infect as like spread back to the Mars colony, for example. Um, not to like overuse a cliche, but history does repeat itself, right? So if you don't solve the core issues, how can you
Eventually, it will happen in the new colony that you set up.
exactly? And then the other thing is, it sort of relates back to this, is the idea that who owns that colony? And by own, I mean, is it a nationality? Is it the world? Do all governments are they a cohesive group? Like
What
is
kind of laws are set up there? What, like,
exactly. And I think Elon Musk had like an entire extensive thing on this where he's talking about laws and space. And currently, we do have space treaties. Or I'm assuming we have space treaties because I watched Space Force and they said we have space treaties. So I'm going based off a Netflix show. I'm not really sure.
I would assume since there's an international space station where multiple countries can visit, there would be some kind of
Yeah,
regulation up there.
yeah. And also, are Americans allowed to leave a flag on the moon? Do they own the moon? Is that what that means? It's
Uh,
probably a colorless flag at this point,
no
right?
takesies backsies.
Um, but yeah,
It is
so
bleached. Wasn't it something about it was bleached at some point? Anyway,
yeah,
whatever.
it would be bleached, I'm
Yeah.
assuming. But yeah, as you can tell, Space Force has been my primary.
Yeah, you just keep trying to shill this, aren't you? Are you
You
paid?
should watch. It's hilarious, dude. It's
Are you getting
hilarious.
some advertising money that I'm
We're
not?
sponsored by Netflix.
Am
Yes.
I? I didn't get a check. Are you hoarding all of this?
Yes.
How dare you?
They're giving me a free
So yeah.
membership.
Overall, as what Hitansh is trying to explain is the fact that although colonization is something that should be looked into, there is still the solution. There's still problems and issues that need to be faced and that can still be faced that should be looked at primarily. Colonization should only be looked at as a secondary solution, not the primary one, right?
Yes, exactly. And then also the idea that it'll solve like a common misconception I think is that it's like a contingency for overpopulation, which mathematically just doesn't work. Because if you have a planet that's overpopulated, if you just look at like exponentially, like say it takes a certain amount of time for planet A to get overpopulated, planet B is like an exponential factor of that. So planet B will get overpopulated in just the same amount of time, and then
Exactly, because you're moving there
you'll
with the
need
same.
four planets to match the overpopulation of those two
Yeah,
planets.
because you're not starting back from scratch. You're moving there with the same resources and the same knowledge and stuff like that, right?
Exactly.
So the curve just continues. It doesn't start back from zero.
Exactly. So then you'll need eight, and then so the number of planets that you need will consistently increase. So just having another planet doesn't do anything for overpopulation, or not necessarily. It's a short-term solution.
Hmm. You need to go to those planets with the solutions that we need
Yeah.
back here. So as we kind of wrap things up a bit, Hitesh, so what are your overall thoughts on space exploration? So is NASA waste? Is it worth it? What do you think?
Honestly, I think NASA is like 100% worth it. And honestly, I think they should be getting more money. Um, and here's my reason for this. Like a primary argument with NASA is that people think that they first of all they're misconceived that they get too much money, which they don't. And the second thing is why don't you go into the private sector? Why don't you have we
Like
have companies like
SpaceX.
SpaceX, right?
Hmm.
Why don't they take over? And the answer is simple here. Like it's twofold. First is these private companies are incentivized to do projects that have like a return on investment, which means things like asteroid mining, which means things like space tourism, which means things like space colonization. Whereas companies like NASA are government funded and they actually give their data for free to everyone all over the world.
Just
And
just like the soil identification that's
exactly.
available for free, right?
Yeah, weather networks. We're in partnership, like our the American Weather Networks is in partnership with the European one, and the European one actually is slightly better than ours. So there was a tornado that we thought wouldn't have hit the south of America. I forgot the name of the tornado, but the European satellite was like, no, it's going to take like a sharp right and actually hit America, and they were right, and we evacuated. We saved millions of lives, and yeah, so definitely useful. And then the second thing, if these private companies were to be in charge, they wouldn't be giving this data out for free. And at that point, they would be over. Like the cost versus benefit in that case would be more muddled. But yeah, for that reason, I think NASA definitely is worth it for its price. This is a worth it episode.
Mhm.
So how
What
about
was
you? What do you think?
what was this? What was the second thing that you were gonna say?
My second thing was that it's even just beyond the money thing. It's more about NASA is like a testament to the human nature of exploration. If
Hmm.
we never took strides in trying to improve, we would never evolve as a species. And I think we've conquered the land, we've conquered the air, we've conquered the water. I think the next thing to conquer is space.
But we haven't
Um,
conquered water yet, actually.
okay. Oh, we're close to it. Okay, we got
Not
submarines.
really.
We can't go that deep, but like, come on.
No, there's actually a lot we don't know about the water. It's pretty creepy.
A topic for next time? Next time topic?
Actually, yeah.
Let
Write it down.
us let us know in the comments if you want to hear that.
Yes, all zero comments.
I will comment.
Oh yeah,
Go.
that seems a bit biased, but no, I'm not. I can't say anything.
Uh, anyway, so what do you think? What are your
What
thoughts?
do I think?
You got any hot
Um,
takes?
Hot takes? No, it's pretty mild takes. If I'm being honest, pretty along the lines of you. Yeah, I believe that definitely if you compare it to something like the military, like that does not need as much funding. And
Hot take? Hot
hot take,
take.
ooh, ooh. And then if you look at the actual benefits that arise from an organization like NASA, like yes, you could view it as, oh, maybe we don't need to go to space right now, but there are technologies that are developed and utilized on Earth that have been a direct result of the development and engineering that took place at NASA.
Mm-hmm.
So funding an organization like that, while it does increase the amount of exploration and things like that that we can do, and then understanding our universe more, it still ends up helping us back here on Earth. So yes, I do believe that it is not waste, and it deserves the funding that it gets. Um, and again, just the whole thing with colonization is just that it can't be looked to, it can't be looked at as a primary thing. And
Mm-hmm.
also another thing that I wanted to point out was like the whole thing about private versus publicly funded. Like something that we brought up earlier was just who runs it, right? If it's a
Mm-hmm.
private company, then the private company also runs it. But if it's an organization like NASA that's funded through the government, then they have to abide by governmental rules and intergovernmental rules, right?
True. True. Private companies have no national like
National ties.
alliance. Yeah, no
Yeah.
national alliance. True. I didn't even think about it that way. Okay, that's
Big
interesting.
brain, big brain. Yeah. So
I wouldn't say
overall,
that.
exactly. No, it's implied. It's there. So, I mean, you kind of spoiled it right off the bat. I mean, when I asked the question, you're just like, nah, man, NASA's not waste. We got this. So, I mean, gee, thanks for that. But we both are on the side of believing that this is something that is beneficial. Again, there are things on Earth that we could deal with that deserve money, but maybe take that from the military instead of NASA. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, yeah. Or create Space Force.
Space Force,
So
yeah.
my Netflix show
Yeah,
can
you
become a
found one
reality.
more way to plug that in, didn't you? Right at the end, and you just managed to just
It's a
sneak
good
that in there.
show. It's so funny. You should watch it. And on that
Uh,
note,
yeah,
I
so thank
think
you. I think we're about to wrap this up now. Yeah, so again, let me do the outro. All right, don't take this from me. This is
um,
my thing. All right,
okay,
you have
okay.
your thing. I have my thing.
I don't know
Don't
what my thing is.
don't come in. You're looking pretty. Don't come into my territory.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
Of
sorry.
course. So anyway, yes, thank you for watching or listening. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts, hopefully soon, Google Podcasts, also hopefully soon, and Spotify. And if you're listening to us on those platforms, you can catch us on our YouTube channel and like and subscribe there. Let us know if there are any topics that you would like us to look at in the future. And thank you for listening.
Join us next time when we go down the rabbit hole.